to Counterpoint, a musician's tale. My name is Cornel Bogdan. We're double teaming today, not only the TV side, but also my radio show, Tangled Up in Blues, all along the Armstrong radio network and TV network. And our special guest, and I can tell you, I've been a fan of his since day one, Mr. Joe Bonamassa. Welcome back, Joe.
Thanks. I mean, you have a media empire.
Yeah. I wouldn't go that far. I would not go that far. What is that? What is that guitar over your left shoulder?
That is a 1958 Gibson Skylark lap steel, made out of Carina wood, which was the same wood they made the Flying V's out of. That was actually the scrap part of the plank, and they would make lap steels out of them, because they needed to, they only made about 100 Flying V's. And so at the end of the day, they had all this extra wood, and they only made like 40 Explorers, and it didn't really work out, but they had extra Carina wood, so they made lap steels and Hawaiian. It's basically a Hawaiian guitar. Just think of the beginning of the Speedy West part of Tom and Jerry. That's what those sound like. They're slide guitars.
It looks beautiful back there. It's a nice backdrop. But folks, Joe Bonamassa, February 21st, Covelli Center. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Joe, the Cellar in Struthers, Mill Creek Park, Stamba Auditorium, Powers Auditorium, now Covelli Center. The actual first time we ran into each other, you were in a band called Bloodline. And and I was working for a station called CD 106, and we did a 106 night out. It was $1.06 at the door in 1994. You played a place called JB's Lounge. Whether you like it or not, man, you are a Youngstowner through and through. We have inherited you, man, because we've watched your career for 30 years.
It's 30 years. Wow. I mean, the Bloodline record is 30 years old. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, like how far it's come, and like I'm still around, and it's Ohio's always been nice to me. I mean, like from day one, even with our band Bloodline, and then the early solo stuff, the gigs at the Cellar. It was just I remember the Cellar. I don't even know if that's still around.
No, it's not. Yeah,
it was just a really fun. I remember it was like low ceilings.
Yes.
Load in the back, and that, I mean, those really had, those were days where that's where you made your reputation. That's also where you got a lot of on stage experience, and the audience was always so nice, and has followed me, like I said, 30 years, and I'm only 47 years old, so the first time, I'll be 47 in May, and so I would have been 17 years old.
Right.
$1.06, it's amazing. I mean, it's from 17 to almost 50, and you're still going. It's like, it's a testament to the fan base, and it's a testament to Ohio. And that's where in America we're between Indiana and Ohio, and Michigan. Those were the first real states that kind of said, we can remember his last name, which was important.
Well, Blues Deluxe Volume 2, #1, congratulations on it. And let me ask you, is this been something of a plan? I know you were a planner. Did you plan this a while ago for the follow-up to Blues Deluxe Volume 1?
Well, no. The thing is, Blues Deluxe, the first Blues Deluxe, if you hear a vacuum cleaner in the background, it's just sounds of domestic life. And the first Blues Deluxe was really it was the last shot for me in 2003. It was just the last shot. We had 2 albums on major label, and it didn't work out. And it seemed like I was pretty much done. And so we made the record, and we never called it Volume 1 because we never knew we were going to go past that record. and it was precarious times, and I still have memories of just going, I don't know if I'm going to be doing this in a year's time. And when the 20th anniversary creeped up on us, I wanted to do something to like remaster or do something, re-record the record. And I said, I don't want to look backwards. I want to look forwards. And
Right.
my friend and bandmate Josh Smith, if he would be interested in producing that record, which would be the first record that I've done without Kevin Shirley. And Kevin's producing my new solo album we just finished yesterday. And I said, because I had a very specific thing I wanted to do, and I thought Josh was the right guy to do it. And I said, let's just get a second set of songs and call it Blues Deluxe Volume 2, and put it out on the 20th anniversary of Blues Deluxe and remaster the first one,
Right.
and because there was no bonus tracks from 20 years ago. We just did the 10 and that was it. There was nothing that we couldn't afford another track. And so then we had that, and that was really we decided to put it out as, we were going to put it out as a companion CD, double record. And then we decided to just put it out on its own because it came out so strong that it seemed like it was the right time to put out another full traditional blues record of my favorite songs, some originals, and it was kind of the same ratio as the first Blues Deluxe. And I'm obviously, I took the name from the song Blues Deluxe, which was originally on the Jeff Beck Group's Truth album, which up until up until the time I recorded the song, I didn't realize it was the first verse was lifted straight from Gambler's Blues, B.B. King.
True.
And the second verse was lifted straight up from Buddy Guy Stone Crazy, but they credited themselves as writers, which was the English way back in the 60s, no publishing, who cares? Because it's listed as J. Rod, and it's Jeff Beck, Rod Stewart. And for those who don't know, Rod Stewart sang in the Jeff Beck Group along with Ronnie Wood on bass, who now plays with the Stones and has been in the Stones for 50 years, and Mick Waller on drums, who the late Mick Waller, who's one of the unsung heroes of the British session scene. Played on everything from, Donovan Records, and, they were session guys, like, John Paul Jones and Mickey Waller, and, even John McVie and even Jimmy Page, was a session guy before he was in Led Zeppelin. I mean, most notably, played the guitar riff on, Jimmy Page played the guitar solo and riff on Joe Cocker's version of A Little Help from My Friends.
Very good, Joe. A plus, man. That's
So I mean, I've been a British blues devotee, as they say, for my whole life, and so that was basically how Blues Deluxe came about in the first place. I wanted to make a British sounding blues album in 2003 because at that point a lot of people were making records that sounded like they were straight out of Austin, Texas, and I said, well, I got to do something slightly different here. And then, 20 years later, here we are. It's now 21 years later, here we are. So,
well, the covers, fantastic, man. Albert King, Bobby Blue Bland. You do a Guitar Slim on there. I want to talk about one of the originals, and I'm playing the hell out of it on my show.
Thanks.
Is It Safe to Go Home, man? And what's the process in you deciding, okay, I'm going to put these great cover songs on here, but I need maybe some foundation, maybe I need some glue, and you came up with a couple originals, and I love the playing and singing on that one, Joe. Great job, dude.
Yeah, Josh had this idea for a song, and I said, and played it for me, and I was like, yeah, this is cool. We should do this, and I said, but we need to make it our Gary Moore moment. Because it's like, so I came up with the riff, and the lyrics sing down really well. It's a really well-written song that Josh came up with. It's the last song of the record. And
Yes.
it's the big Gary Moore moment, because again, it's like, I know where I come from, and I know who blazed the trail, I mean, like, Gary Moore, I always say Gary Moore and Walter Trout blazed the trail that I rode through in Europe, especially. It was Gary Moore, Rory Gallagher, and Walter Trout. They were playing loud blues guitar
Mhm.
well before I was even old enough to travel. And so Gary was a big part of my influence. And so I wanted pay tribute to him. And then I mean, all the stuff, there's like you could hear on Blues Deluxe Volume 2, there all the influences are credited. The Albert King,
Yes.
the Freddie King, the Clapton, the Blues Breaker thing, and it's like, I always want the Blues Deluxe, and maybe we'll do another one day, but right now, no. But it's my life in music. This is my pathway to get to where I'm at. I mean, I always say it, and there's no shame in saying this, because
Yep.
a lot of people will say it's like, well, I discovered, Robert Johnson, and all, and Muddy Waters, and all the original masters of the blues, and then they won't credit the Brits. But a lot of us suburban white kids in the 80s went through London to
Yeah.
get to the blues. And we all went through London to get to Chicago, or we went through Austin, Texas with a guy named Stevie Ray Vaughan to get to
Yeah.
Hendrix and Albert King.
Right.
There's no shame in saying that, because that's what we were exposed to. And John Mayall and the Blues Breakers and Alexis Corner, even the first Zeppelin record and the Jeff Beck records, those were blues albums, but they were masquerading as rock artists.
Yeah.
They were covering blues, and that's how a lot of American, white American suburbia discovered this thing called the blues. And then next thing you know, you're like, well, who's Hubert Sumlin? What's a
Yeah.
howling wolf? I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't like,
What's a McKinley Morganfield? I don't,
right.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
then, and then you get your copy of BB King live at the Regal, and you're like, oh, I get it. Like we were talking about it, like, oh,
Yeah.
Gambler's Blues off of Blues is King. It's like, I don't know too much about love, but I sure think I got it bad. I'm like, wait a minute,
Can I,
what came
uh,
first?
yeah,
It's like, oh,
I want to talk to you about your foundation, and you're the person who really got me hooked in blues in schools. In fact, I'm still doing it to this day. I go
there
to
you go.
the colleges, I go to the high schools, and you let them know where music started, man. But I will never forget. We went to Struthers High School, and you had Blues Deluxe out, and you said to the kids, and I run it, and they're not kids anymore. They're all
Adults.
parents, and
Yeah.
but I'll run into them and they'll say, do you remember when you and Joe came to Struthers High School? And I said, yeah. And one of the things you said that day, Joe, and I'll never forget it, you told all these kids, this whole music class, you said, I'm not going to play really loud today, but I sing really loud. And you went into Blues Deluxe in that music room, and everybody stopped just
Yeah.
because of that opening line, man. Everybody stopped and like, who is this? And
Right.
you're saying it took it to a new level, man.
Well, I mean, and one of the things about the second volume of songs is I'm a different singer now than I used to be. I mean, I'm
You,
more melodic. It's a different, totally different approach. I learned how to sing in 20 years, and I was trained, and I couldn't pull off Bobby Bland 20 years ago. I couldn't do a 24-hour blues. I mean, wouldn't have even been on the table, you
yeah,
know. And I was a shouter. Now I'm more of a melodic singer, because it's like, two things: one, work smarter, not harder,
yeah,
and B, being a shouter, you have a shelf life. I mean, when you're 25 or
yeah. Good point.
24, you look at a lot of the singers that were just shouters, that
Yeah,
just would try to pin it to the back wall. Well, behold the ravages of time. The range starts going down. You kind of have to retrain your voice when
yeah.
you're. I
Good
did
point.
when I was
Yeah,
27, but it extends your career, but it also melodically gives you more options than just sing, hitting a note, because I mean, I, my favorite singers were, BB King and Rod Stewart and Paul Rogers and, people like that, Bobby Tench. I don't know if people like, remember Bobby Tench. He sang
Bobby Tench, yeah.
on the
Yeah.
third and fourth Jeff Beck group records, and like
Right.
songs like Ice Cream Cakes and their version of Going Down. And, so when you sing like that, it's different than if it's not exactly crooning, you
Uh-huh.
know? So you have to kind of like, now still split the difference, where it's like, I can still, bounce it off the back wall, but I don't want to live there
Right.
24.
Well,
And and also having more melodic content draws the audience in. And the greatest compliment anybody can ever give me is like, man, I saw you 20 years ago, and man, your voice is really improved. I'm like,
yeah.
thank you. Because I did work on it consciously.
Once again, folks, February 21st, he'll be at the Big House, Covelli Center, Joe Bonamassa. I'm telling you right now, get your tickets right away. Not many left. Ticketmaster.com. When I think about your music, Joe, and how far you've taken it, I got to ask you a question that I asked Warren Haynes, and you were the only two that I've asked this question.
Mm.
When do you sleep? I mean, you have a concert film out. You have a CD that's out on the charts with Blues Deluxe Volume 2. You just said you wrapped up a solo record. You have a tour you produce. You have the blues, the foundation. You have your record labels. You're signing new artists, your collaborations. When the hell do you sleep?
Um, uh, I sleep every day like everyone else. I like to be busy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a thing. I like to be busy. And if I'm not busy, I feel I'm unproductive. And I like to, I mean, I like to make music, and Josh and I started producing records. I started producing records in 2017 when Reese Winans asked me to do it. And then I just found I really loved it. And we've had some really great adventures with people like Joanne Shaw Taylor, Larry McCrae, Mark
Yeah.
Broussard. We did Mike Zito's new album that's coming
Right.
out, which is really great.
Yeah, I'm already playing it.
Yeah, album called Life is Hard.
Life is hard.
And we did the Blood Brothers record a year and a half ago in Lafayette, Louisiana, and this New Yorker got a big old spider bite on his hand, and swelled up. They're like, "Welcome to Louisiana." I'm like, "Here we go." But
Did you have a Peter Parker moment at all? Did you feel like could you climb a wall or no? Didn't work that
negative.
way. Yeah.
It was like it would start off what I thought was a mosquito bite on my hand, and then about 3 hours later, I'm at the studio with them, and my hand is visibly my left hand is visibly larger than my right, and I said, I kind of need this
Yes.
at
Yeah.
least for
Yeah.
now. So I'm like, guys, you guys, I said, Josh, can you cover me, for a couple of hours? My friend Charlie takes me to the urgent care, and they're like, oh yeah, that's spider bite,
Yeah.
you know.
It's just like, hey, no big deal. Yeah, no big. It's a Louisiana spider bite.
But yeah, so we've had some wild music adventures, and
Yeah.
produced some great records, and it has moved the needle,
Yeah.
for especially people like Larry McCrae, and we've done, so much, with the foundation and keeping the blues alive, and it's the thing is, for the artists that we work with, Joanne and Robert John on the Rec, and all these artists that we work with, it's really a good record. A quality record opens a lot of doors,
It sure
and
does. Yeah.
and the foundation allows us to have a budget to do real horns, real singers, nothing in the can. I mean, the most of the money goes to the players and the studio, quality studio, and we preach the old fashioned adage of got to have the songs, song. And so if you can deliver great playing, great songwriting, great recording, and a quality production that opens doors. And I've seen it happen, like for Joanna Connor and all the people that we've kind of worked with. It's like next thing you know, it's like they're playing gigs that they didn't play 2 years before. And that's the whole reason I do this.
I wanted to talk to you real quick, Joe, about the concert film that I alluded to, Red Rocks, man. And it's out there. It's called Tales of Time.
Yeah.
What is it about Red Rocks as not only a fan, I've been to many shows there, but as a musician, what is it about that whole Red Rocks experience?
It's it's like if nature built the perfect sounding amphitheater, and it's a totally unique experience. I mean, it's just a natural forming set of rocks that they put a stage on. And I mean, and you think about the history, the Beatles played there,
Yes.
and BB King,
Yeah.
and it goes back to the 40s when it was uncovered and they were doing plays. It's kind of like the Hollywood Bowl.
Yeah.
Or it's like it was a huge thing that was originally was vaudeville, and in some cases preamplification, you know, and or very primitive amplification, and it's a very intimate 10,000 seater, and it's just something that's been really it's been a fun experience for us every year. We've done it now 10 years in a row. This will be our 10th anniversary of it.
Wow, I didn't know you were there that many times.
Yeah,
That's
I've done
incredible.
it probably 15 times, 16
That's
times. We've done some double
incredible.
night ones, and then we've done some single nights, and um, it's always fun. This year,
How many camera shoot was that, man? It seems like you had a ton of them there.
well, it's like making movies. It's
Yeah.
like they're incredibly expensive to make. Um, and we just did it at the Hollywood Bowl last summer. They're incredibly labor intensive and expensive to do, but it's worth to capture those moments, you know. And if you're going to do it, you got to go all the way in.
Yeah,
We
that's
learned
true. True.
2009. We just learned that it's like you got to go all the way in. If you're not going to go all the way in, then don't bother. This year we're doing our DVD at the Capitol Theater in Port Chester. We're going to do the 12. We're getting the 5 bus band back together, which is the 12-piece horns, and we're doing Blues Deluxe volume 2 in concert, with the big band. And we're for our first shows at Red Rocks, so we can go right. So
Nice, nice, Joe. Very cool. Just a couple more minutes here. I know how busy you are and everything, but the you're in your mid 40s now. Younger musicians are now turning to you for guidance, just like you were turning to BB King and
yeah.
other. What's that feel like?
Um. Well, we were talking about the blues in schools. Like
Yeah.
the kids that I met 20 some odd years ago now have families and gray hair like me. And you're like, oh, okay. It's like, and then you get guitar players like, oh man, I was inspired to play guitar because I listened to your album, The Ballad of John Henry, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it didn't seem like that long ago.
Yeah.
I picked it up at 4 too, and I heard The Ballad of John Henry. I'm like, wait a minute. It's a little bit of, I mean, like I talk about this with Kenny Wayne Shepherd all the time. It's like we were perennial, the perennial young guns forever. We're
Mhm.
not that anymore. We're not. And it's like we've, and the scariest thing is it's like, I always looked up to, like, Stevie Ray Vaughan, who
Mhm.
Reese Wyatt is still playing in our band this year. And I was when I was a kid, Stevie looked like an old guy. I mean, like he looked like an established adult,
Yeah. You're right. Right.
I'm now 12 years older than Stevie Ray was when he died.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like we all are.
Hmm.
And it's a paradigm shift, but we all, it's like when the internet haters go, oh, okay, boomer, or this. I'm like, listen, it's going to happen to you. God willing, you live a long and fruitful and successful life. It's going to happen to you. There's nothing that any human being can do in this world, no matter how influential, powerful, rich, it doesn't matter, that can prevent the sun or the earth from lapping the sun. And every time the earth laps the sun, you become 1 year older.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen to you. You're not going to stay 24 your whole life. You'll be blink an eye. You're going to be 44. Blink an eye. You'll be 54. Yeah, it's like that. It goes by fast. So make the most of it all. Enjoy it. Don't overthink it.
Joe, it has been an honor not
As
only
always,
talking,
man.
not
Nice
not
to
only
see you again.
talking to you, but also just following your career, man. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
love getting new Joe Bonamassa music. I love getting it because I know you're going to take us somewhere else, man. And I wish you nothing but the very best on this planet.
Thanks, man. And I'll see you in like 3 weeks. So
February 21st, Covelli Center, downtown Youngstown. Our buddy Joe Bonamassa, he's been on here with me. Counterpoint, a musician's tale. My name is Cornel Bogdan. Everybody, take care. Peace.